Cumberland County Commissioners Workshop meeting. If you would please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Always nice to hear a lot of voices reciting the pledge. Thank you. I do call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. and at this time I open up the floor to public comment. Okay, so hearing none and seeing none, we'll move on then to agenda item number 3. And I will call on Chris Rafferty to discuss the amendments to the CDBG and home annual action plans for plan years 2016 through 2021. And then just before you get started, Chris, if you would, once we finish that, I'll just announce now that you'll be discussing agenda items 4 and 5, and we'll just continue on.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. From time to time, we have housekeeping on the block grant and home program, move some money around, cancel projects, transfer funds for other activities. That's what we're, the first agenda item is for. We're looking to close out some home program activities that were determined to be not feasible. Fund activities now that are deemed to be feasible. And then on the block grant projects, for example, Williams Borough, they already had a project to acquire and demolish 124 South Front Street, straight along the river. Our estimate, given the fact that it was 4 structures, a number of garages in the back, it had asbestos and lead-based paint, our estimate is $150,000. Basically, way under that now, so we can reprogram those funds. That's what we need to do as well. So if there are any questions on the changes, the total amount of funds involved is for the block grant program, it's $203,836.36. For the home program, it's $404,162.
Any questions?
Regarding the applications to DCD, DCD receives roughly $20 million in home program funds from the U.S. Department of Housing and Development. They set aside 5% or $1 million for CHODO operating funds. And the CHODO is a nonprofit affordable housing developer that has to meet certain standards. So the state must be sure that they keep some of these organizations viable and help with operating costs. With me today is Gary Lenker. He's the executive director of Tri-County HDC. So what we're looking to, they're looking to receive funds in the amount of $106,000 from DCD. Are there any questions on that activity, Gary, or for me?
No.
Also applying for the same grant, DCD is Luminous. They were here a couple weeks ago talking about their project in Citrus Hill and Shippensburg Borough. Again, they're also applying for funding in the amount of $318,103 from DCD for total operating expenses. The applications are due to the state on the 12th of this month.
Any questions?
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Next, we have a discussion of a letter of support for the Silver Spring Township Multimodal Transportation Fund application for New Kingston Main Street Road improvements. And we have Raymond Palmer and Cheryl Neidig here with us.
Morning, everybody.
Morning. None of us fight. I don't fight.
Well, first, let me introduce Cheryl Neidig, who's our assistant township manager. My name is Ray Palmer. I'm the township manager for Silver Spring Township. What you have in front of you, obviously you had a chance to see the overview here. We have a kind of a gem in our town. It's New Kingston Village. And we have an opportunity to apply for a multimodal grant. And we think it's really important to have that opportunity, given the, what I would say construction is happening all around it would be one reason, but most importantly, that used to be the major thoroughfare that came through. I brought Cheryl because one, she's really good at what she does. She's also a resident at New Kingstown. And I just wanted her to talk a little bit about, she knew the life before it and now knows the life kind of post after it. So I'll just give me a couple notes.
Sure. 20 years ago, we couldn't walk out our front door without trucks barreling past. I had young children. So to now have that Main Street moved, or the bypass moved over and have Main Street back, we actually get to know our neighbors across the street now. And it would just be great to have the infrastructure just overhauled so that we can actually walk the main streets now and the sidewalks out front. The township has done a great job investing in that park. A lot of activity from all the developments around us. So we just want to bring the community back so that we are a little community again.
Yeah, we call it the rebirth of the village. So we're excited about it. We put in the multimodal grant. So we're really here to ask for the county commissioner's letter of support for this project. Very excited about being able to do this. So that's why we're here.
This is good. I know, was it 20 years ago? Former Senator Pat Vance had a lot to do with getting that bypass around because it was just a joke.
It was.
But with the hemp farm soon to be transitioned, I think the timing of this is excellent. So I usually support 100%.
Yeah, we brought pictures. I think you've seen some of the pictures. If you haven't, we brought poster boards for everybody to see. And that's kind of and this is just, this is obviously the area in question, right, which everybody knows. This is just a draft, but can you imagine kind of, and I say this really excitingly, imagine coming through New Kingstown to kind of have this look for everybody that's on both the East and West Main Street.
And better drainage and the rain gardens and parking upgraded.
Lastly, what's really important is New Kingston Vision is a really neighborhood vision committee that actually raises money. They have put for this the matching. They've taken all their funds and they're going to match the grant to show their commitment to their own community every day. So I think that speaks to a little bit of the really, but I'd say grassroots support by the people in New Kingston.
Yeah, this is through Kathy. I'm sure we're still involved.
She is very passionately.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, any questions from any of the commissioners?
That's exactly what the grant program's for. So good luck.
That's great.
So this will be on the agenda on Monday for approval, and then the commissioners, once they sign that, will make sure we get that sent off to where it needs to go.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. All right, okay, good. I was gonna say, you don't have to stay. You don't want to stay for the rest of our
If
meeting.
you were at our meeting, she'd be here till 1 in.the morning. You can stay. Sorry, that's an inside joke. Not one I'm happy to be part of.
Don't miss those days.
Happy to.
See you.
All right, moving on then to agenda item number 7 is another discussion of a letter of support for the Shippensburg Area School District Multimodal transportation application for traffic improvement. And Chuck Rice is here from the school district.
Yeah, I'm Chad Rice. I'm the Director of Operations and Facilities for the Shippensburg School District. And we again are also doing the Multimodal Transportation Fund. It's a grant, and the total amount of the grant is $1,087,365. $750,282 of that, which would be part of the grant, and we have to match 31%, which would put us, the school district, at $337,083. And this is current plan to help with our bus loop and parent pickup areas. It'll also help with congestions along Everly Drive, Park Place, US Route 11. And it's a bad congested area right now, dangerous for kids and crosswalks and areas like that. So we're looking for support from Cumberland County to help us with that grant. With me is via Zoom is Melissa from Site Logic. She has all the great technical answers for if you guys would have any questions. Her colleague Andrew Zwally is actually the one that's kind of been spearheading this mission, and attached is the our current plan. So if you have any questions on that, as you see, it's a 2-lane bus loop or parent loop that we'll be adding. The blue is the parent loop. Right now, the parent loop and the bus loop are kind of interchanged amongst each other. It creates a lot of confusion. So what we're looking to add is that blue area there, and the red is current sidewalk plans, and this would all be part of that that grant that we're looking for. Do you have any questions or anything, or Melissa, is there anything that you would like to add?
Yes, I think, yeah, what I just would add to Chad's description in our request is that this parent loop is a small piece to a much bigger plan that this school district is putting in place. This location is at the Shippensburg Middle School, which shares a campus with the high school. So we're really seeking to clarify those traffic patterns that are unsafe and confusing, especially during drop-off and pickup hours. Doing so will allow the district to create dedicated entrances for bus, vehicular, staff, and that allows transportation to circulate on the campus much more easily. And, you know, this is phase 1 of a much bigger facility plan that they have for both the middle school and high school campuses. So we are seeking a letter of recommendation for support to help, you know, pursue and put in place these planning activities on behalf of the district.
Questions, commissioners?
I have no questions, but since the director of planning is here, I'll put you on the spot. Did you have any comment on either one of these grant applications?
No, I believe they're both consistent with the county comprehensive plan. I don't believe we've written a consistency letter for this project. Silver Spring did. But we have no issues with either one of them.
Is that required, the consistency letter? We're gonna do that, or-
I believe so, or just acknowledgement that we've seen it, but we can work with you.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Turn around pretty quick if you need it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
From here?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
for
Thank you
coming in.
again. Thanks, Melissa.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on then to agenda item number 8, this is contracts and grants. And section 1 is existing contracts, contract extensions, or addenda with no additional cost or increase to the county for aging, children and youth services, drug and alcohol, MHIDD, and planning. Commissioners, any questions about any of those contracts? No. All right, so we'll move on then to section 2, which is new contracts, vendors, services, grants, contracts with increases or decreases to the county. And we'll start with aging, and Kim Whitten is joining us on Zoom. Hi, Kim.
Hi, good morning, commissioners. This addendum is for additional funding for the 21-22 fiscal year for senior center services that were provided. Aging had additional funding that they could allocate to them.
Good. Any questions for Kim? All right, thanks, Kim.
Thank
We'll
you.
move on then to children and youth, and Jamie Ryber is joining us by Zoom to discuss the contracts. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, good morning. I have 3 contracts. The first one is for Hempfield Behavioral Health. It is an addendum to their current 22-23 contract. We are adding forensic exams to the contract, and we will be using that in order to have our children and youth that are involved in an emotional abuse allegation. They will be doing an evaluation on them, and that will help us to be able to indicate that or rule that out. The second one is Clear Vision Residential Services. They are a residential program that we don't use very often, but we always like to keep on hand. They are increasing the residential program 3.5%, and they are looking at increases to their insurance and employee benefits. They're installing new fire alarm systems, and they're also still continuing to upgrade and combat COVID. The last one I have is Perseus House. They are also a residential program. Their shelter is increasing 2.7%, and their excuse me, residential home is increasing 9.68%. They are working on adding additional staffing. They are training their staff on sex and human trafficking, and they have included some upgrades to their facility in preparation of becoming a specialized setting through the state. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Next up is drug and alcohol, and Ryan Simon is joining us. Ryan?
Good morning, commissioners. The first contract that I have is Parahuman Services, and that's an outpatient contract. We've increased all of our outpatient rates this year due to salary requirements from the providers. I'm going to jump down. UHS of PA, their outpatient contract is also getting increased for the same reason. Bowling Green in Brandywine, they have 3.5, which used to be referred to as rehab. They're asking for a 72% increase. I asked their CEO or their CFO about that, and she stated that it was due to major increases in salary and benefits, driven due to costs for retaining nursing staff and counselors. They're asking for a 1% increase on their 3.5 enhanced. That's for people who have both drug and alcohol and mental health issues. And then they're asking for a 32% increase on their 3.7 withdrawal management that used to be called detox. And again, she said that was due to salary increases for their staff. The UHS of PA Roxbury inpatient, they're asking for 5% increases on their 3.5 and their 3.5 enhanced. And then Avenues Recovery Medical Center, Valley Forge, they're asking for a 10% increase on their 3.5, a 10% increase on their 3.7 withdrawal management. And we would like to add a new program with them, 3.7 intensive. And I think that's it. Any questions?
Yeah, Brian, this is Vince. I do have a question, and maybe I missed what you said earlier on Bowling Green. There seems to be a big disparity in the increases. Could you explain what high activity, high intent activity, WM activity is?
Sure. The 3.7 WM stands for withdrawal management. That used to be called detox. That's whenever someone first goes in. If they have, generally, whenever someone first goes in, they still have the drugs in their system pretty high, so they need more intense supervision from like a nurse. And then once they have detoxed, then they're able to go to the 3.5, which again used to be called rehab. And in that level of care, they still see some nursing staff, but they start to see more counselors. So that's why there's generally a difference between those two.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Sure.
Ryan, one question, refresh my memory. At what stage does the Commonwealth review these increases and offer its approval?
So DDAP only gets involved whenever a provider would disagree with what the local Drug and Alcohol Commission sets as their rate. So that would be the only time that that DDAP would actually get involved. Otherwise, the local Drug and Alcohol commissions, they get together, they review there's a packet that all of the providers have to fill out. They list what their actual expenses were for the previous year, what they're budgeting for the year that the rate is getting set for. And then the Drug and Alcohol Commission looks through the rate and, looks to see if they're adding anything, if the rate seems to be justified by their expenses listed. And then they set the rate, so.
Okay, so that's that responsibility is mainly carried by the local Drug and Alcohol Commission, the advisory group.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Ryan? All right, thank you very much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Next, we have IMTO with ERP, and Beth Trimack is joining us to discuss the addendum. Beth? She's on. You might still be muted. We're not able to hear you.
Is that better?
That is better.
Okay.
I can hear you now, Beth.
All right, the BSI contract before you is the annual renewal for the tax factory software. This software is used with Lawson to calculate payroll taxes. Currently, we are reporting 1,380 employees to BSI, which translates to a cost of $6,805 for this support period. Their support fee increase for 2022-2023 is 5%, but since we dropped the number of paid employees down to 543, the actual increase is 4% or $283. Any questions?
All right, thanks, Beth.
Thank you.
All right, we have Kirk Stoner with us in the building to discuss liquid fuels finance.
Or you got me.
Nice intro, huh?
You caught me by surprise.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. So Liquid Fuels Finance, we have our next local phase 2 bridge agreement back from South Middleton Township. As you recall, we were working with South Middleton Township, Lower Frankfort Township, and Silver Spring Township to advance poor condition locally owned bridges as part of our $5 fee. You'll see in the contract documents that are in front of you, the cost split for each one of those. South Middleton Township has agreed to that. So we have Silver Spring is signed on, so South Middleton has signed on. I talked to Lower Frankfort yesterday. They're taking action, I believe, next week. So with that, there are 3 bridges that we'll be focusing on this phase 1 component of the program.
Any questions for? Okay, so while you're ready to present, if we could, we'll just move to agenda item G. And I know you have Elizabeth here with you as well by Zoom.
Yeah, I think.
There she comes. Okay. So yeah, if you would like to discuss the planning department contracts.
All right, I'll start off. So we have a grant request for the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development for $30,000. This would be to update our county comprehensive plan. So I provided you a quick overview that we use at the County Planning Commission. What we want to do with our comprehensive plan is really focus on an update first of the future land use map. So that shows a look at all the future land uses throughout the county. Right now, if you look at the map that was included, and that's very detailed. I think there's 11 or 12 categories of land uses that are out there. We haven't gone out as a county planning department and verified what we're recommending for each parcel. A lot of that is based upon municipal comprehensive plans that they've put forward their future land use. So those municipal comprehensive plans are in various states to update. Some are way out of date, some are more current. So when we're asked to look at zoning amendments, new comprehensive plans for municipalities, new zoning ordinance, we're assessing consistency of the county comprehensive plan. So for future land use map, really isn't a future land use map that we've endorsed. It's rather a compendium of municipal comprehensive plans that leads to problems. And if it's too detailed, often it leads to problems where when people are looking at consistency, they're simply looking at our future land use map and saying, what does the county recommend for this parcel? So as part of the update process, what we want to do is rework the future land use map, decrease the number of categories that are included on that map, and then provide more specific guidance on what we believe as a county are smart growth measures that we should be implemented throughout the county. So we have some examples we provide in there from, I believe, Cobb County, Georgia, and also Chester County. There's some models that we like. We shared this with the Planning Commission at our last meeting. They endorsed the concept, thought it was a good way to move. The ultimate product then would be a story map we'd work with GIS on, so it would be up. Really, I call it the front end of our comprehensive plan. If that's the only piece that someone looks at as part of our comprehensive plan, they're going to see what we envision for land use in the county. And they're also going to see sound guidance on what good planning actually looks like from a policy standpoint of what we're recommending, but also from a visual standpoint of pictures that we'll take in the community, some diagrams that we'll have developed to really show what we mean when we talk about smart growth in the county. So that'd be a component of it. The other component would be really a refresh of our goals, objectives, and strategies. We last completed our plan in 2017. So they're not grossly out of date. We've worked with our County Planning Commission to go through a process to update those, have some public engagement, municipal engagement on both parts to update the plan. For the funding, the DCED grant is $30,000. Our local match on that's 50%. So we have $20,000 from the CCHRA has departed, but they provided us $10,000 last year and this year out of their CDBG allocation for administrative purposes. The other $10,000 we're proposing to come from the Cumberland Plants Grant Program. That's the $50,000 that the commissioners had allocated to our department for municipal and county planning projects. We had some leftover funds from last year that weren't allocated that we could apply to this. So with the two of those, we'd have $60,000 total for the project. If you recall, earlier this year, we did a open-end consultant agreement where we had consultants to apply to the county to be on calls. We need them. We had 7 responses to that. Off that list, then, since they're pre-qualified, we selected Michael Baker to potentially be the consultant on this to do the work. They submitted a scope of work to do everything, which is also included in your packet. So that's a quick overview. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have on the process. Yeah, turn it over to Elizabeth then.
All right, Elizabeth, it's good to see you. You're muted.
She's not muted.
Oh, she's not muted. Uh-oh.
Sound up, maybe.
How about now?
Oh, that's great.
Hey, sorry about that. Good morning. So what we have before you is a contract addendum for Ken Wolf, who is providing engineering services for our countywide action plan to design agricultural best management practices. And it's an increase in the contract amount of $2,600 to cover $1,400 in mileage and $1,200 in printing and materials to cover his costs for preparation of bid packets, printing of plans and designs for those BMPs. The entire $2,600 is covered by the DEP grant. We've been able to reallocate funds from other administrative costs.
Any questions for Elizabeth? All right, thank you both. So we'll move back in the agenda to letter F, and I'll call on Sue Carball to discuss MHIDD contracts and grants. Hi, Sue.
Hi. So good morning, everyone. So we have a list here. So the first group is early intervention amendments for 21-22. The first contract is building blocks therapy. It is an increase of $6,023 for additional authorized services for, like I said, fiscal year 21-22. Then we have early bird therapy, which is also an amendment for fiscal year 21-22. It's an increase of $14,473 for additional services. And then we have Invo Healthcare Associates, an amendment for fiscal year 21-22, an increase of $29,095 for additional evaluations that they have completed for us on the children. The next group are the intellectual and developmental disabilities amendments for fiscal year 21-22. Living Unlimited is an increase of $16 for additional services for supported employment. United Cerebral Palsy of Central PA is an amendment for fiscal year 21-22 of $49,772 for additional services. The next group of contracts are the new contracts or the renewal contracts for fiscal year 22-23 for intellectual and developmental disabilities. The first one is ahead, which is a decrease of $2,725. Their total contract at this time will be $7,021. Sandra Bowen is a renewal contract for 22-23. It's an increase of $7,500. We started her in January for half a year last year as our independent living specialist. And now she has a full year contract of $13,500. York County Transportation Authority Rapid Transit is a renewal. It's a decrease of $29,594. The total contract is for $38,000 as of this time for transportation. Riverside Associates is a renewal contract for 22-23, decrease of $7,000. Right now, the contract is at $3,000 for behavioral support. PA Life Sharing is a renewal for 22-23, an increase of $231. Their current contract stands at $43,690. Living Unlimited is a renewal for 22-23 for IDD for supported employment, increase of $31. The contract stands at $3,439. Hempfield Behavioral Health renewal contract for 22-23 is a decrease of $5,851. Current contract total is at $21,220. Keon Enterprises, it's a renewal contract for 22-23, a decrease of $52,528. Currently, the contract is for $1,219. This is for transportation. We definitely expect this contract to have an amendment. The next contract, Cornerstone Agency of PA, is the renewal for 22-23. It's a decrease of $4,749. Right now, the contract is at $2,703. Bloom Human Services renewal for 22-23, decrease of $13,261. Current contract total is $17,148. Alma Health, doing business as med staffers, is a renewal contract for 22-23, decrease of $3,707. Current contract is at $18,710. So all those contracts we do expect to see go up as services are added to individuals' plans. So for mental health, these are amendments for 21-22. Living Unlimited is an increase of $176, and it's based on additional services, family support services. And the last contract for mental health is Penn State Health Holy Spirit Medical Center. It is an amendment for 21-22. It's an increase of $80,173 based on additional services, such as crisis administrative case management, teen line, outpatient medication, those types of services. Any questions?
Was quite an exercise, though. Thank you.
Yes, it was.
Thanks. Go drink a glass of water. I think you need it after all of that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
Okay. We'll move on then. We've covered A, R, G. So we'll move on to H, and Claudia Garner is here to discuss the grant for public safety. And then Claudia, if you would, continue on with agenda item number 10.
Sure. Okay. So
Okay.
public safety is happy to accept the fiscal year 22-23 Hazardous Materials Response Fund grant agreement in the amount of $23,833. This grant is 100% state funding through the state's chemical safety program. Now, this is a decrease of approximately $17,000 from last year's grant award. And the reason for that is PEMA took a closer look at the formula distribution across the Commonwealth. And actually, each county has been affected by this formula. When they looked at it, they found a lot of inequalities. Some counties were receiving less than $1,000, which is nothing, not going to add value to their hazmat programs. They wanted to make it a little more equal across the state. And as a result, there's now a 4-step formula with various data elements to make it more equitable distribution of the funds. And no county now will receive less than $3,000 in their grant allocation. Unfortunately for Cumberland, that resulted in a $17,000 decrease. But as you know, that is based on the amount of facilities in the county. So our LEPC team, as you know, have been out there actively looking for new facilities that are moving into the county and getting them prepared and ready to report, and they can make their chemical and planning fees appropriately. So the fund itself did also experience 11% decrease. So naturally, it was going to decrease anyway without the funding formula changes. This grant has a performance period of July 1 of 22 through June 30 of 23. And the work plan was included in the grant agreement that you had approved and we submitted a few months ago. So we're just asking for the approval to accept the grant, and approving on Monday. We ask that you can go into the e-grant system and electronically sign for that. Is there any questions on the grant? Okay. The other two items on our list are donations. We're asking for your approval to receive sponsorship money that is going to be used to offset the expenses of hosting the annual LEPC Sarah Summit in October. As you know, that's an opportunity for businesses, first responders, and elected officials to network and prepare for an emergency before it happens. And two more sponsors that we are bringing on board this year include PA One Call System for a bronze sponsorship, which is $250, and Capital Blue Cross for $1,000, which is a gold level sponsorship. Any questions on either of those?
All right, well, thank you very much, Claudia.
Thanks.
We're back to agenda item number 9, which is discussion of the Susquehanna Regional Transportation Authority appointment recommendation of Jared Johnson, and Kirk has offered to provide some insight.
So commissioners, as you're aware, I believe we received Scott Weiland's resignation this morning from the SRTA board. Scott has served us really well. I think you're all aware of that, but I've worked with Scott for a long time. He's the chairman of our planning commission for a while. Was on Tri-County Regional Planning Commission, did great work for us there, now in SRTA. So he has done a great job in pulling SRTA together. And I think, you know, without him, I'm not sure that we'd be where we're at now. But SRTA having a joined organization. So he resigned. So in his place, we have Jared Johnson. I believe the board met with this week. I met with him earlier. I believe he's an excellent candidate. Really interested in what we're doing too. So he's applied to fill Scott's term. So he would be filling the rest of Scott's term. Actually reappoint him with Scott's term again.
How much time's left on that, Jim?
What's that?
Do you know how much time is left on Scott's term?
I do not.
It's a little bit less than 2 years.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on then to agenda item 11, which is Commissioner's Liaison Reports, and I'll start by calling on Commissioner Eichelberger.
Okay, let's see, just a couple of brief things. Okay, for just a quick mention for recycling, this Saturday is the third hazardous waste disposal event for the year. Judge says there's still spots available apparently, so we're continuing to see a bit of a decline in participation on that. So Judd mentioned he talked to the contractor, I guess yesterday, and they said that's pretty much everywhere. So we're not unique in that, but it's still a highly valued event. So participation is naturally going to decline, but still provides a very valuable service for a lot of people. So anybody knows of the garage that's full of turpentine or paint thinners or whatever, this is your chance to get rid of it. So just remember that is a pre-registration based system. So they would need to call certain spots. That continues to work real well. The see, just a couple of reminders on the MH side. Of course, we were all notified about the flat funding and the concerns that raised. So we heard a little bit about the Behavioral Health Commission that's going to allocate some of the additional monies that the state appropriated. I think we received a PowerPoint on that. It's very schools oriented. So clearly not going to meet the specific needs that we have. So we'll have some choices to make on that. Also, September, reminder is Suicide Prevention Month, and September 8th is when when we're going to be screening at the West Shore Theater the My Ascension film that Annie spoke to us about before. That's just a reminder. Also, the hearings, the block grant hearings that I referenced in the previous meeting, we have our Cumberland County hearing is scheduled for Thursday, August 18th, and that's at 9:00 a.m. The Human Services block grant. Perry County will have theirs prior to that. The only other item I have is, of course, I think we're all up to date on what's going on with CADIC right now. Continue making good progress there. Putting a lot of attention recently on the board development issues, and we have 3 candidates we're going to be bringing forward for commissioner approval in the near future. We're going to do the requisite interview process. They've all submitted their application forms and resumes, and we're going to be doing that, I believe, tomorrow. I'll be sitting on that. And yeah. And Janet Anderson, Gary Chicatano, and Crystal Quinton, the board chair, will be conducting this. It's mostly administrator, I guess. So that is everything I have.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Pashi.
Well, good morning, Cumberland. I have a very light update today. Actually, none of my liaison assignments met in the past 2 weeks since the last workshop, but I will remind everyone to use the library. Kirk and I on the 27th went out to New Cumberland for their community roundtable on the downtown master plan. And kudos to New Cumberland for all the work that they're doing on revitalizing their downtown area. It really is tremendous. And then finally, with CCAP, the Behavioral Health Services Group met, and I just want to make sure everyone is aware, and I think that we are, that the state flat funded mental health funding to the counties for the 11th consecutive year. So there was really quite a conversation about how mental health funding seems to have gone everywhere, but directly to counties where that money is desperately needed. So that's what I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner DeFilippo.
Thanks, Stacy. A couple of boards did not meet this past month. That was Aging Advisory Board and Ag Preservation Board. I'll be back in swing next time. Conservation District did meet Tuesday evening. The board approved using $2,000 of Marcellus Shale funding to spend on a seed mix for cover crop to be seeded with a drone, which I think you may have seen. Newspaper article. Drone is owned by a fellow named Bill Chain. The district will seek out a few farmers who will volunteer for this pilot program. 2 of the Conservation District interns have pulled soil samples on about 2,300 acres of cornfields, with a record number of 21 farmers participating in these nitrogen tests. Ag technicians have completed their 6th year of farm inspections to determine if farms follow the erosion control and manure management regulations. 49,000 acres have been inspected, and 410 farms have been inspected, with a total of 188 farmers contacted. The state budget did include an increase for conservation districts. Funding will be available to help offset salary and benefit costs of staff, plus agriculture best management practices funding will be available to be spent by the end of 2026. And it is yet to be determined how much state money conservation district will receive for ag BMPs. And that's all I have, Stacy.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Yep.
All right, so agenda item 12, I would like to report that an executive session was held on August 3rd at 9:30 a.m. regarding personnel. And I'll ask if there is any additional business to come before the board today. Hearing none, we are adjourned.